And had the training to be able to diagnose them in the first place. And I suspect that's a big problem.
Absolutely. Right. Thanks, Justin. Now, the TV comedy Benidorm triumphed last night at the National Television Awards, a comedy that famously has its roots in working-class humour.
And you were there, weren't you?
I was there.
Good night.
It was good.
Brucey on form, but recently there's been talk... Late night, was it late
Dancing, he was.
There's been talk that comedy is now becoming too middle-class, with shows like Miranda, My Family and Outnumbered becoming more prevalent. Paddy O'Connell continues this hot potato.
We Brits have always liked to crack a joke about class. Look at him, boring old middle-class thing. Oi! But are our sitcoms too middle of the road, too middle class? Or, if they raise a titter, does it matter? Writer Carla Lane is a class act. She's put status in her sitcoms more than most.
Comedy has changed, I'll tell you. A working-class comedy is funnier, in my mind. It's about people's hopes and dreams, and usually they're not working for them. Taking Liver Birds as an example, we had the posh Sandra and we had the very down-to-earth Beryl. And if you can get both in, you've got gold, you know.
Gotta get up, gotta get out, gotta grab the world by the throat and shout.
The thing I tried to do in Bread, I brought one of the boys who wanted to be a poet. I found it much harder to make him funny than to make the rest of the family who were very ordinary and lower class.
My faith has been hanging by a thread. Hanging by a thread.
I'm more of a proddy now.
A proddy?
If we lost our working class comedy, comedy would die.
But it's not only writing that becomes a challenge. When it comes to television sitcoms, Dr. Brett Mills has his mind tuned in. Does it feel to you like there are more middle-class comedies more of the time and that working class is being airbrushed out?
I do think it's a problem, yeah, because people turn to comedy for those kind of universal reactions and to see their lives reflected in mass mainstream culture. And so if they're not seeing that, then we need to ask ourselves, why is that happening? Comedy is universal. Everybody can find anything funny, no matter what class background it has. But there is a question, in the same way as we'd worry if all comedy was just men and there were no women, in the same way as if all comedy was white and there were no black people or Asian people in comedy, then it's the same question. Is it appropriate if all comedy comes from a particular class background and other classes aren't included?
With several newcomer awards, Carl Donnelly is one of the comedy scene's fastest rising stars.
I thought I'd make that noise last as long as possible to give you time to adjust to my face.
I was raised in a very working class family. If you start trying to pitch a sitcom at the working classes, the danger is it's going to be written by somebody who might not be from a working class background just because they're trying to find one, and that could end up being patronising. I think if you watch a sitcom and it's rubbish, I think the last thing in your mind would be what class the people on the screen are. It's something like Only Fools and Horses managed to have very slapstick moments mixed with quite emotional, sort of subtle moments that, you did have to invest a bit more into it. So I think, I don't think you can say they like this, they like that, when you've got something like that that proves that everyone can come together over something that's just brilliantly made and very fun. The great sitcoms, things like Steptoe and Son, people, I think, sometimes make the mistake of thinking that was funny because it was about a working class family, but it wasn't. It was just a brilliantly written, sort of on-screen representation of a father and son.
You have a good day, son?
No, I didn't. Oh, God, blimey, what are you doing?
I'm having a bath.
What day is it, then? It ain't your birthday, is it?
From the royal family to the royal family, we're all meant to be able to take a joke. But if you can't, you can always vote with your remote.
Vote with your remote.
How unflattering was that at the end of that, can I just say? Pamela, you're in Not the 9 o'clock news, but surely funny is just funny, isn't it?
Well, yes, and it's also consumer-driven, so it's what people are asking for, isn't it? I mean, not particularly on the BBC, but on commercial channels, then maybe what people are looking for, or what the products that they buy that accompany the comedy is more middle class. So I'm not sure that we can sort of make it happen the way we want it to.
I think it's either got to be topical or it's got to have a heart. Either will do, both would be brilliant.
Absolutely.
I think so.
And in my husband's case, have a philosophy beneath it. So
sorry, who's your husband again? Oh, Billy Connolly, that's right. Funniest man in the world. Sorry, just forgot for a moment there.
Well, talking of working class.
Yeah.
I didn't even understand class system when I first came here. When I came into Not the 9 o'clock news, it was all, I suppose it was quite helpful not to know about the class system because it meant that I didn't care. I just didn't think there were any sacred cows. I just went for it.
Well, intelligent comedy, that's what it's all about. That's what your husband did very well and still does. So, listen, you met him doing an impression of what's her name?
Janet Street Porter.
Janet Street Porter. You were doing an impression of Janet Street Porter and you wooed Billy Connolly whilst doing that. That couldn't have been easy.
I know, it's really sad. I was actually shocked. I thought he was very unprofessional because he kept laughing when he shouldn't have been laughing.
Yeah.
My fake teeth kept falling out.
So what happened? What happened? What was the coup d'etat? Was it him or you?
The coup d'etat was, we went for lunch and